Representative, Embassy of Islamic Republic of Iran. Representative, Embassy of Republic of Iraq. Representative, Embassy of United Arab Emirates. Representative, Embassy Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Representative, Embassy of Malaysia. Today is Tuesday, September 10, 2019, in Solitaire, Hotel Gading Serpong, Indonesia. Before we start the symposium on increasing investment from the Middle East and OIC countries, learning from the success and near success companies, we would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Abi Shihab as a special envoy of the Indonesian President to the Middle East and OIC countries to give welcoming and opening remarks. To Dr. Abi Shihab, time and place are yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Minister or the representative, ambassador, we have two ambassadors, His Highness Ambassador of Oman, Ambassador of Qatar, President Director of companies or their representative, expert on Middle East and media people, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, allow me to extend my warmest welcome to all of you. I also would like to express my sincere appreciation and gratitude to all of you for committing your valuable time amidst your tight schedule to positively respond to our invitation. Today, I'm really pleased that we could gather here to share information and experience at the symposium on increasing investment from the Middle East and OIC countries, learning from the success and near success. I will never say success and failure, success and near success. We anticipate all of us, all of you will reach successful completion. President of Indonesia, Bapak Joko Widodo, in many occasions has stated the importance of foreign investment on Indonesia, particularly in his second term. Even recently, on the 4th of September 2019 at the Cabinet meeting, President reiterated the significance of foreign direct investment in addressing the possible economic recession. As I always mention, that the President put a great emphasis on investment from the Middle East. He always say that I don't want to be seen as giving priorities to the West or to Japan, India, Korea, and China. I would like to see more investment from the Middle East as our brother countries. And this symposium, the recommendation of this symposium will be reported to the President as our effort to invite more investment and to solve problems faced by companies of Middle East. In line with the President's direction, based on the information and discussion at this symposium, we will formulate recommendation to the President on the ways and means in increasing investment from the Middle East and OIC countries by learning from the success and near success companies. This symposium aimed at absorbing not only compliments but more of a complaint for the government to solve and for the government to settle. And I know many of you will present their presentation both positively and negatively, so we can learn from our negative experience in order to be able to correct it in the future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, slow but sure, several companies from the Middle East and OIC countries have been operating in Indonesia. For example, companies from UAE, such as Mubadala Petroleum Indonesia, has exploited gas in Sabuku Island, Makassar Strait. Lulu Hypermarket has shopping centers in Jakarta and Serpong. Landmark Group has supermarket in Surabaya. Dubai Port World has jointly managed port in Surabaya, and Bank Panin Dubai Sharia have been operating in Jakarta. Company from Kuwait has also invested in Indonesia, such as Kuwait Foreign Petroleum Exploration Company, signing Rosplit sharing contract for Anambas block in Rio. Kuwaiti company is one of the oldest Middle East companies in Indonesia. I think more than 20 years Kuwait has been investing in block in Indonesia. EDD Paragon, a joint company from Saudi Arabia, Singapore and America, has developed a tourist resort and water treatment plant in Mandalika, West Nusa Tenggara. Other big companies from Saudi Arabia have expressed their interest to do business in Indonesia, such as Kingdom Holding Company, Al-Wire Group, and Darla Al-Baraka Holding Company, and others. However, some other companies from the Middle East and OIC countries have not been successful or are still negotiating in investing and doing business in Indonesia, although they have signed MOUs or other business contracts. The companies, among others, include Nebras Company and Qatar Investment Authority from Qatar, Masdar Company from the United Arab Emirates, Aramco from Saudi Arabia, Magna Company from Iran, and Karadeniz Holding and Turkish aerospace industry from Turkey. Both the success and near success companies from Middle East and OIC countries have partners companies in Indonesia. For example, Mubadala Petroleum Indonesia, Kuwait Foreign Petroleum Company and Aramco have been partnered with Pertamina. I forgot to mention Oman. Oman is also pursuing a big project in Indonesia, and I think it could be also categorized as near success. Likewise, Nebras, Masdar, and Magna have been partnering with PLN and Pembangkitan Jawa Bali. Unfortunately, both Nebras and Magna are not too happy with them and be able to pursue their business in Indonesia, and particularly this symposium will listen to what they have for us to report to the President. Other Indonesian companies have business or in the process of doing business with companies from the Middle East and OIC countries, such as Wijaya Karya, Waskita Karya, construction companies, pembangunan perumahan, Audi Building Industry, Palembang GMA Refinery Consortium, Sinar Mas, PAL, Dirgantara Indonesia, Chandra Asri, Pelabuhan Indonesia, Maspion Garuda, Maintenance Facility, Indo Pharma and Kimia Pharma. Today we are lucky that representatives of the success and near success companies as well as their partners, Indonesian companies, are attending this symposium. I also forgot to mention a business group from Yemen who are successfully operating in Indonesia since I think more than 10 years. They have palm oil refinery, they have plantation, but they are people of low profile. Some of them, those companies I mentioned about, some of them will share information and their experience. I hope that their explanation will encourage other companies from the Middle East and OIC countries to invest and to do business in Indonesia. The companies from Indonesia will also be inspired to be reliable partners for the companies from the Middle East and OIC countries. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the companies from the Middle East and OIC countries successfully investing in Indonesia have been supported and cooperated closely with their embassies and the related ministries and institutions in Indonesia. We noted that some embassies have actively supported their companies. Some of them have sent their representatives to attend this symposium, such as the embassies of United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, and Turkey. Related ministries and institutions are also participating in this symposium, namely Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs, Coordinating Ministry of Maritime Affairs, Investment Coordinating Board, Ministry of State-Owned Companies, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Cabinet Secretariat, and Bank of Indonesia. Their representatives are among us today, so they will go back and report to their boss. I would greatly appreciate if the representative of the embassies and ministries could also share their policies and activities to support the companies in investing and doing business in Indonesia. I hope that the explanation from the companies, embassies and the ministries will help us formulate recommendations to the President of Indonesia on the best means and ways to increase investment from the Middle East and OIC countries. I also expect that this symposium will be able to disseminate information to the public in general and the companies in particular on the investment from the Middle East and OIC countries. Last but not least, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, with the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, I now have the pleasure and honor to open this symposium. May Allah Almighty help us in our endeavor. Wallahu muwaffiq ila aqwamit thariq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
These are the remarks delivered by Dr. Abu Shahab. Thank you for the remarks. To continue, we would like to invite Mr. Yudo Dwinanda Priyadi as a senior advisor to the Minister for Strategic Planning to give his remark. To Mr. Yudhoyono Priyadi, time and place are yours.
Your Excellency Pak Disiarkan, Secretary of the President to the Middle East, Your Excellency Ibu Tri Sumarno, Minister of Foreign Companies or Enterprise, or her representative, Your Excellency Pak Thomas Lembong, Head of Employment Coordinating Board, represented by Ibu Farah here, Your Excellencies, Ambassador of the Middle East, countries of the representative, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. May we all be bestowed by peace and prosperity. Good morning to all of you. First of all, on behalf of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, I would like to convey our gratitude for inviting us to such an important event. It is my pleasure and honor to deliver a remark from Vice Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources, Mr. Archandra Tahar, on this event. Pak Archandra Tahar right now is still in Shanghai. Middle East countries are very important partners for Indonesia in the field of energy and mineral resources. Experiences and interest in Indonesia's oil and gas sector, one of the sector in Indonesia, have made Middle East countries the important partners for Indonesia. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, most of Middle East countries have huge proven oil and natural gas reserves, making the countries critical partners and responsible suppliers in the global energy markets. Oil and gas industry takes a vital role in Indonesia. In this decade, oil and gas is not only provided national revenue for us and necessary amount of fuel for our economy, but also creates a multiplier effect in job creation and economic development. Hence, it is essential to have stable, secure, and affordable energy resources such as provided by the oil and gas industry. Oil and gas industry still have big potential in Indonesia. We do need a lot of investment in this sector. The new growth scheme has made this sector more attractive to global oil and gas companies. Since it was issued in 2017, there are 41 gross field contracts, and another 3 old contracts are in the process of converting to PSG gross field. We can learn from Mubadala Petroleum, such as Anambas 1 and 2, and Kupek, Anambas blocks. We believe that they have positive experiences in Indonesia. Both Mubadala and Kupek just pointed to develop Indonesian oil and gas blocks. It is in line with today's symposium team, learning from success and near success companies. In the downstream, the government is working to increase accessibility of electricity at affordable price. We have to increase our electrification ratio from 98.81% by the end of 2018 to 100% in 2020, while regulating electricity tariff again at affordable price. There are 2 opportunities in the electricity sector. One, to IPP for power generation, particularly in the eastern part of Indonesia, and second, to EPC as part of contractors. We also encourage development of new renewable energy in the electricity sector, competing with conventional coal and diesel power plant. We have noted the cooperation between PT PJB and Mazda from UAE to build the first floating photovoltaic power plant in Cilacap, West Java. This project will be a milestone for Indonesia in generating electricity from solar on a large scale, 145 megawatts. Finally, we also have recent MOUs signed, which is Pertamina and ADNOC for Balikpapan Refinery, Chandra Asri and Mubadala for naphtha cracker and petrochemical complex, and DB World and Masmian for container terminal in East Java. We really want to accelerate the implementation of these projects. Let me emphasize that significant energy business opportunities in Indonesia are still open, and the government commits to improve the investment climate through, among others, provision of fiscal and incentive. Once again, allow me to convey our gratitude for holding such important event and the attendance of participants for sector. I hope that we will come up with meaningful results of the symposium for our beneficiaries. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
This is the remarks, the report by Mr. Yudo Dwinanda Priyadi. Thank you for the remarks. For the next remarks, we will to invite Ibu Farah Ratna Dewi Indriani as a Deputy Chairman for Investment Promotions of Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board. To Ibu Farah Ratna Dewi Indriani, time and place are yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, selamat pagi. His Excellency Bapak Dr. Ali Shihab, President's Envoy for Middle East and OIC countries, His Highness Al Said Nazar Al Julanda Majid Al Said, Ambassador Oman for Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Ahmed bin Jassim Muhammad Ali Al Mahamar, Ambassador Qatar for Indonesia, Bapak Yudo Dwinanda Priyadi, Special Advisor for Minister Energy and Mineral Resources, CEOs of companies from Middle East countries, representatives from foreign embassies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, allow me to send warm regards from Bapak Mr. Thomas Rekasi Lembong, Chairman of Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board. He do apology for not being able to attend this valuable meeting because his tight schedule. And allow me as well to send Chairman's message that he would like to convey his sincere gratitude to Bapak Dr. Ali Shihab and team from the Office of the President's Envoy for Middle East and OIC countries for hosting this important symposium. And my greatest appreciation also goes to our honorable speakers for their support and willingness to share their valuable experience in investing in Indonesia. We understand not all of the stories is a successful one, or we quote Bapak Dr. Ali Shihab said that near success, but this will provide more information to all participants as they can learn from insight from our lineup speakers. In global economic context, this symposium is important to build strong collaboration between global business and government, as this year global growth remains subdued and consists of challenges. IMF announced that global growth is forecast at 3.2% in 2019, picking up to 3.5% in 2020. This is a 0.1 percentage point lower than the real projections for both years. Indonesia sees these challenges as opportunities to increase foreign direct investment, improve our economies to provide higher quality jobs for our people, to take up larger roles in the global value chain. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, in one of his speeches mid last year, our President questioning why the Middle East countries investing their money in Europe, America or China, why not in Indonesia? And then he ordered related ministers to make a visit to Middle East countries every 3 months to strengthen economic relations. President himself made important visit to Saudi Arabia earlier this year and met with King Salman of Abdul Aziz. Then just 2 months ago, Post-Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, His Highness Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Bogor, Malaysia. Excellencies, distinguished participants, Middle East and OIC countries among one of the important foreign direct investment sources of Indonesia. The existence of the Office of President's Envoy reassured the importance of the region. In BKPM itself, we established a special promotion team to assist inquiries from Middle East countries. Uni Arab Emirates and Turkey among the highest contributors for foreign direct investment from Middle East countries. Based on our observation, we understand that the Middle East countries are risk adverse and prefer to invest in brownfield rather than greenfield. There are still large room to improve, as in the last 5 years, Middle East countries made from foreign direct investment or FDI $471 million in Indonesia, less than 1% of total FDI in Indonesia valued $162 billion. So now let me tell you, or let me share, why you need to start your investing in Indonesia, or at least start planning your expansion to Indonesia. As the largest Muslim democracy, Indonesia is continuing progressing. We are now in G20 members and the trillion dollar club GDP. In the next decade, a prominent financial institution published a forecast of Indonesia becoming second largest economy in the world with GDP of $10.1 trillion. Keep in mind that the absence of Middle East countries in joining the development of our nation will be filled with other sources of foreign direct investments, such as from USA, Europe, and other Asian countries. And in his second term of presidency, President Jokowi has pledged to continue the massive development of infrastructure program, and on the top of that, he also highlighted the importance to improve human capital. So, Excellencies, distinguished participants, and ladies and gentlemen, nothing that is sustainable economic reform is crucial. Government has taken further initiatives in simplifying the licensing by launching online single submission system that enable companies to obtain their investment license only by less than 1 hour. I believe that with proper government support, will be more success stories to share on investment in Indonesia from Middle East countries in the future. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that this symposium will become a channel for meaningful and open dialogue among us on how we could improve together in coping the global business challenges. We look forward to strengthen our relationship and wish all of you have a fruitful meeting. Thank you very much. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thus, the remarks delivered by Ibu Farah Ratnadewi Indrani. Thank you for the remarks. And the next agenda is photo sessions. For all of participants, please come forward.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency Dr. Al-Sihab, Special Envoy of the State of Indonesia to the British and NU countries, Excellencies Ambassadors of Qatar and Oman, my dear colleagues from the embassies of Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and Saudi Arabia, as well as the representatives from the companies, from various companies in the Middle East and NU countries, and from the Chamber of Commerce of Indonesia, Pak Menteri. It is really an honor for us to be here with the presence of Dr. Al-Sihab to supervise us in this discussion. And let me invite the speakers of this session. Firstly is the Southeast Asian Business Development and Infrastructure Advisor of Badala Petrol Indonesia, Mr. Damian Lut, to come to this state. Please, Pak Damian Lut from Badala. This Pak Damian. And secondly is representative of Lulu Hypermarket, Mr. Biju Syakaf. This Pak Biju. And thirdly is from Dapatkan, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Khalid Abdul. And from Foreign Petroleum Exploration Company, OPEC, Acting Country Manager, Mr. Abdullah Al-Surain Al-Mutaizi. And then from Pertamina, Corporate Business Initiative, Mr. Ari Kurniawan. And the last one is from PBNU, President Director of PBNU, Pak Iwan Agung. Agung sedang doing. Oleh Thank you is a complete team that will discuss, that will exchange views and experience on the ways and means to increase investment to Indonesia. We will listen directly from the companies on how is the best ways to to come to the business Indonesia for the success awareness. But for the real success, we also learn on the way they are the real success. And so there will be success companies invested in Indonesia. We start from the success companies, namely Ubadala. We really please for the Ubadala, Mr. Damian Wood, to explain your views, experience in doing business in Indonesia. Please, Pak Damian Wood, time is yours.
First of all, I'd like to extend a sincere apology from Mr. Adela Al-Hamadi. He was ill as he can't be here today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Damien Rudd. I'm head of business development group here in Indonesia. I'm representing on behalf of Mr. Al-Hamadi. Yes. I'd like to thank Dr. Al-Hamadi for inviting us to this symposium. It's a pleasure to be here and certainly be able to express our growth story here in Indonesia and the opportunity to develop. His Excellencies, distinguished guests, Dapatkan, welcome. Let me start with sharing a brief overview of Mubadala Petroleum. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of Mubadala Investment Company, known as Mubadala, or referred to as Mubadala from this point forward. It's 100% owned by the Abu Dhabi government. As you may have read last month, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Chairman of Mubadala, visited Indonesia last month. On this occasion, Mubadala, OMB and Chandra Asri signed an MOU to extend or to explore opportunities for collaboration in the petrochemical sector here in Indonesia. Mubadala is an investor across a strong and diverse portfolio which consists of 4 strategic business platforms. Petroleum and petrochemical industry, which includes Mubadala Petroleum and OMB. Our sister company, Mazda, sits within the aerospace, renewable and ICT platform. Now let's focus on Mubadala Petroleum, for whom I represent. We're Abu Dhabi's strategic international upstream exploration and production oil and gas company, delivering sustainable financial performance through an optimized portfolio of exploration, development and producing assets. As I mentioned, we're 100% owned by Mubadala. Mubadala Petroleum has a presence today in 10 countries across the globe, with a primary geographic focus on the Middle East, North Africa, Russia and Southeast Asia. We currently produce in excess of 360,000 barrels net oil equivalent a day, and we're a long-term investment in partnerships and collaboration with host governments, partners, contractors, and local communities, which are key to our business success here in Indonesia. Now let's look at the global portfolio. Our active base is rooted in the Dolphin gas project, and we continue to expand and strengthen our global footprint. 2018 was our strategic entry into the Egypt partnership with the Army and Shell. We also entered Russia during the same time, a joint venture with Gazprom to develop and produce oil reserves in Western Siberia. Here in Southeast Asia, we're a leading oil and gas operator and actively growing our business by building our existing operated assets and capabilities. In Thailand, we're the second largest oil producer. And earlier this year, we received our first gas project, winning the Erewhon field. Malaysia, we focus on the development of our multi-TCF JUGA gas field, which we anticipate first gas in 2021. Very good. In Indonesia, Baba has been here since 2004. Today we operate 4 PSCs and we operate on 5th PSC. We operate the Ruby field, which is our main gas production, 70%, with partners Inpex and Total, each of whom operate 15%. Ruby has been producing reliably and extremely safely since 2013, with a cumulative production in excess of 150 BCF. The excellent safety record and accreditations from the International Safety and Environmental Standards has been well recognised here domestically in Indonesia with a number of global safety awards. The Ruby project has succeeded as we work closely with both government and local authorities on a solution to develop this small, marginal field, providing gas to a local fertiliser plant. Another example where we contribute to local production to meet the local energy demands. Building on our existing operated assets and capabilities, last year we were awarded 2 new roaster PSCs with Amberman 1 and 1 operated position in the Amberman 2. And this year, awarded the Amberman South PSC, which we held at 100%, which we recently to last month actually, where we managed to divest 20% of our interest to Premier Oil, who's also our partner in Amberman 2. Both partners have a strong commitment to this high-impact growth area, which supports Zimbabwe's growth strategy of finding and, if successful, developing gas for Indonesia's growing markets. We are a long-term investor. Our partnerships and collaboration with the government, SAKSIKAN, Gas, local governments, local authorities, partners, and especially local communities is our key to success here in Indonesia. Very good. As a responsible corporate citizen and operator, the Department of Petroleum is committed to support communities in this area. In the vicinities of our operations. We play an active, responsible role in contributing to long-term, sustainable improvements in the communities in the vicinity of our Ruby operations. We started engagement and have started engagements in Aceh with over 10 key projects annually occurring in Indonesia. Working primarily with coastal communities and institutions addressing socio-economic and educational challenges facing these communities, hosting iftar community events. For our community investment activities, we've built valuable and important relationships not only with the communities, but also with many others, including local governments, the Navy, local fishermen, and the universities. Wrapping this up, as a long-term investor, we've seen our patience of doing business here bear fruit with Ruby, that's supplied the local gas market since 2013, and now with the awards of the annual box in Semarang, Aceh. Strong partnerships have been key to driving this organic growth, and we hope to continue this growth further here in Indonesia. Our responsibility as an investor and operator is to invest in projects which we believe will generate value, both for our shareholders as a disciplined, return-focused investor, and the stakeholders who do business. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I would love to hear also if there is any complaint, any suggestion, because those points will be meaningful for us to report to the government. Please don't emphasize on only success stories, but please let us know if there any constructive criticism for us to be able to correct.
Thank you, Pak, for your reminder. After we listen from WIRDA, now we would like to listen also from the other companies that are successful in Indonesia. That is quite foreign petroleum exploration company. Please also mention your company and your constructive input for us. Please, Pak Abdullah, thank you.
Thank you. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Abdullah Malik Shahin Bey. I'm the acting manager of Kuwait Foreign Petroleum Exploration Company, KUFA. So from now on, I'm going to be addressing it as KUFA. Your Excellency, Dr. Shab, honorable ambassadors, distinguished members of the business community, relevant ministries, as well as, of course, but not least, the media. I'm honored and privileged to actually sit here and speak on behalf of KUFA and our vast experience actually in Indonesia. We've been here for a long time, as you will find out in the upcoming slides. I hope, pray, and I'm pretty sure this will be a value-adding and fruitful symposium for all involved. So let's look at that. Next slide, please. Can't start by talking about KUFA without talking about Kuwait Petroleum Corporation. As some of you know, Kuwait's top 10 when it comes to oil production per day, exceeding 2.87 million barrels of oil equivalent, as well as top 5 or 6, depending on whichever survey you look at, in terms of reserves, at over 100 billion in oil in place. One thing I want to mention, though, is that we have sister companies. We have upstream, we have downstream, we have midstream. So KUFA is the international upstream arm of the state of Kuwait. Some of you might know KOC, but outside of Kuwait, it's KUFA. Now when it comes to downstream, we have Kuwait Petroleum International, which is our downstream arm. The good thing about the upstream and the downstream is they have the same CEO, Sheikh Nawaf Salah, who's actually the official spokesperson for both companies. And so that's one thing I wanted to mention. Moving forward, the next slide, please. So we talked, this year that I'm about to mention is very important when I want to talk about our experiences in Indonesia. So KUFA was established in 1981. I want you to remember that year. And we have 3 main business drivers: commerciality, technology, as well as contribution. The contribution is to support the global positioning of the state of Kuwait. We're not a private company. I didn't mention this before, for those that don't know. We're a state-owned under the KPC umbrella, Kuwait Petroleum Corporation. So when we invest, it's not just KUFA investing, it's Kuwait Petroleum Corporation investing. It's the state of Kuwait investing. So let's go to the next slide, please. So I want to talk a little bit about our mission and vision, so at least you understand where we're coming from. Our mission is to deliver diversified value to KPC through responsible, efficient, and innovative exploration and production of hydrocarbons, whether domestically or, in our case, outside of Kuwait. Our vision is to become a reliable operator, a partner of choice, not only for other partners, but companies, governments, ministries, so forth and so on. Also, a technology bridge, a talent magnet, and of course, a top world-class HSSC performer. We can never forget about HSSC. Next slide, please. This slide is here to represent our global spread. We're in 13 countries, and we have about 49 projects, all the way from Canada to Australia, ranging in exploration, development, and production. Next slide, please. This slide, we wanted to put it here to show you all our partnerships with international, major international oil and gas companies, whether it's the ExxonMobil, the Chevrons, the Bertaminas, the BPs, the PTTEPs, whether it's national oil companies, integrated oil companies, mid-sized, independent, we're actually partnering with everyone. So the importance of that is that we can actually share best practices, lessons learned, technology, whenever we go from one country to another, whenever we partner up with someone else in a different sector of the world. So that's why I want to put that slide, so that everyone has a flavor that we're not just in Indonesia, we're all around the world, and we have many partners across the globe, ranging in size, complexity, and asset profile. Next slide, please. And here we are. Now we're back in Indonesia. KUFPEC's history in Indonesia. So I mentioned earlier the year 1981 is when KUFPEC was born. But if you notice in this timeline, 1982 is when we entered Indonesia. Indonesia was one of our first entry points, ever since our inception. In 1982, we actually purchased a stake in the Tuna Sea Block A. In 1985, we actually became an operator in the Semarang block, Semarang PSC. In 1990, we produced our first oil as an NOJV partner with the Tuna. We have a 33% stake, actually the biggest shareholder in that block, but we're not the operator. And something to note, in 1990, we signed our first gas supply agreement. Further on, as the years progressed, we purchased a stake in Panga, in Buton, in SCS, and OMWJ. And last but not least, on June 10th of this year, we signed the Anambas exploration block. This timeline is meant to depict one thing. We've been here for 37 years. We've been here since 1982. We haven't stopped investing in Indonesia. And the fact that we invested in as an operator in 2019, back in June 10th, shows our commitment to this country and to what we see as growth potential and a strategic fit for KUFPEC. Next slide, please. This slide is just to depict our operatorship experience from 1985 to 2006, which is far away, but for those that have the PowerPoint, it wants to show the different pictures, the onshore facilities we had, the engagement with the communities, some of our staff. We engaged many ministries back in the day, helped out our communities, and actually created thousands of jobs, directly and indirectly, spending billions of dollars in the last 37 years. So this is a newly acquired block. I'm not going to dwell too much on the details of the block. We got it in, as I said, June 10th, under the new scheme, the growth split scheme, which in my next slide, I don't have to go there yet, I'm going to be talking about the areas of opportunity where I think we can improve on. So one thing I want to say is we entered Anambas with this new scheme called the growth split scheme that's been already talked about. As previously mentioned, it started in 2017. I recall we said 41 contracts have been given out to companies. So it's a new scheme. So the only thing I want to mention is we are taking a vote of confidence in the government of Indonesia in this new scheme that hopefully this is a win-win for all. I've been asked before about this growth split scheme, and I said, don't ask me now, ask me in a few years, because that's when you really will see whether or not it works or not. So let's move to the next slide, which are some, we believe, are areas of opportunity to achieve a win-win for all, investors as well as the government of Indonesia. Again, we thought about let's enhance the fiscal regime and incentivize the investor as one of the options. Number two, create an information center for the growth split scheme, because it's actually pretty new and not everyone really understands or the fine details or its implications, for example, some tax implications or other pertinent information. So it's a suggestion to create maybe a center of excellence or an information center. Another point, reduce the overall bureaucratic steps for approvals for current PSCs that are cost recovery, not growth split. We understand that the growth split was made, this is in the oil and gas sector for those not familiar with the oil and gas sector, was made to reduce the bureaucratic steps and to give more, let's just say, flexibility for the operator. And we thank you for that, for the growth split scheme, and let's see how it works. But we're just saying, what about for those that still have PSCs currently? Is there something you can do? It's just a suggestion. Second to last, procurement and tendering process. That's quite a process, actually, if you ask most PSCs currently that are under the cost recovery scheme. Plenty of approval steps and a lot of time it takes. And time is money. And there is always an economic limit. There's always a time where you have to start production, a time when you have to stop production. So every delay, trust me, affects our economic limit and our profit margins. So this is just another suggestion. Again, these are for current PSCs under the cost recovery scheme. And lastly, just a suggestion, simplify the export license, because I hear it's pretty cumbersome, what my team tells me. And lastly, and let's go to our conclusion slide. In summary, we are very happy, very happy to be in this beautiful country, to have the success that we had in Indonesia, to appreciate all the support from the government, from the various ministries, from our embassy, from SAKSIKAN gas, from companies, and from the workforce. We wouldn't be investing in here if there wasn't a reliable workforce. There is a reliable workforce, and that's why we continue to invest. And last but not least, we look forward for a mutual benefiting relationship for all involved. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pak Abdullah, SDW from SAKSIKAN to promote and also you praised us. Indonesia is very good place for investment. So from Qatar, from Oman, Iran, Saudi, please come. Join me. It's approved from these two companies. And now we have the partners of these two companies that will share information about how Pertamina handle these companies so they become successful in Indonesia. This part.
Thank you, Pak. While we are waiting for the slide, okay. So let me introduce my name. My name is Ari Kurniawan. I am from the corporate head for business initiative in Pertamina. And on behalf of our CEO, our Venturi, she couldn't attend because there is urgent matter that she needs to attend. But I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to invite Pertamina to join this symposium, because in here we can discuss many matters regarding the energy business with Pertamina and also with other stakeholders. Maybe next, please. So first I would like to inform you about Pertamina in brief. So Pertamina is 100% owned by government. So it's state-owned company, and to do the business, we have subsidiary. So we have 9 subsidiary in the upstream side, and then we have 10 subsidiary in downstream side, and then we also have service subsidiary from hotels and also flight. Next, please. So regarding the business, Pertamina sees that in the future, Indonesia will be deficit in energy. Therefore, we are looking forward for overseas business, especially for the exploration. And besides exploration, we also invite a company to join the development of our refinery to optimize our existing asset in Indonesia. Next, please. So this is the overseas. So regarding the overseas, in the marketing and distribution, we also develop business for the aviation and lubricants. So for aviation, we develop cooperation with several companies in the Middle East. And for the lubricants also, we are looking forward for cooperation if you are interested in develop lubricant business in offices, so maybe we can go. Next, please. So regarding the Middle East in Indonesia, I think this is you are interested about. So regarding Middle East in Indonesia, we are having cooperation with Aramco to develop the LNG in Cilacap. So in Cilacap, there is a refinery, existing refinery belong to Pertamina 100%. We are taking to enhance the technology in the refinery. So Aramco will help us in the development, and also we have cooperation with company from Oman to develop the GR Motor. Besides two companies, recently we also developed cooperation with AZMI. So we just signed MOU with AZMI regarding the collaboration with the upstream and downstream business in July. So it's just recently. So next slide, please. So I think this is very important for you because in partnership, actually Pertamina is looking for a partner that have direct access with NOCT decision or government official to discuss mutual economic cooperation. So that's the key point. And secondly is we would like to have partnership with NOC to develop existing upstream field. So if you are interested in upstream field, we can discuss more. And then for the economic cooperation agreement between Indonesia and the Middle East country. And we would like to have also a meeting or discussion with regular banking official and to have a trade exhibition and culture exchange. And then we also want to have like G2G approach. So it's not only like the B2B, so maybe using G2G approach, it's more accelerate the business. And then we are interested for partner to bring their expertise, experience in technology, especially in oil and gas industry. So I think this is the key point if you want to come to Indonesia. It's not only about fund and financial, but usually we require expertise and experience in the business. And the last is support from Indonesia downstream business requirement by providing capital knowledge and technology. I think that's the key point to develop cooperation with Pertamina. And besides that, I think there's one point that you should take away is that to develop a business in Indonesia, we have to have a representative office because several times we have difficulty in having collaboration because many companies don't have representative office, so there's a waiting time to have discussion on important meetings. So that's the key point. I think that's all from Pertamina side. We can have a discussion more during lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak. I'd like to underline about the importance of representative office of your company in Indonesia. For the Pertamina is very important. So please, companies from Indonesia and masuk countries to establish representative office in Indonesia. Is already we listen to the success. Now we will get information from the real success. We must be balanced. Indonesia is always like that, success and real success. Here we have representative from the Libras company, is from Qatar. The chief executive officer of Libras, he come directly from Doha just to attend this symposium. It shows the importance of this symposium and also the seriousness of Libras to invite in Indonesia. So please, Pak Khalid Jolo, to deliver your presentation. this part. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I'm representing Mr. Khalid Jolo Punjaz, we don't consider ourselves because we have a success story. I don't consider ourselves only near success in Indonesia because we have a success story and we have another clear success story. The BRAS established in 2014 as a global power development and investment company. Our mandate is to invest and manage investment portfolio in power generation globally. Our to we have 9 assets across 5 countries in the world, and our total gross capacity is around 5.4 gigawatt. The BRAS is a joint venture between 2 Qatar entities, which is Qatar Electricity and Water Company with 60% and Qatar Holding with 40%. Our vision to be one of the leading company in the power sector with a mission to provide reliable, efficient and our strength coming from 2 our shareholders, which is Qatar Electricity and Water Company, from technical point of view, and also from Qatar Holding, which is Qatar Investment Authority for the financing support. Also, Qatar Electricity and Water Company generate 10.6 gigawatts of power generation in Qatar, which is stand for 60% of capacity, and 480 million gallons of water per day, which is 70% of the water production in Qatar. Qatar Electricity is one of the largest power and water company in the Middle East and North. Sovereign wealth fund of the state of Qatar, and they invest in more than 30 countries across the country. In order to cope up with our development strategy, the BRAS established office in Netherlands to cover European market, and recently also we have opened another office in Brazil to look after Latin American market, and we hope that very soon we will open an office in Southeast Asia to cover this region. Next slide, please. As we see, in a few years since 2014, we have significantly grown in our investment portfolio in the terms of capacity, EBITDA, income, total asset, and but still we retain significant liquidity in order to invest in our new project. Next slide will show our portfolio geographically spread, which gives us diversified investment. And also I wanted just to highlight that we as a long-term investor, whenever we go into a country, we try to develop more and more in the same country. For example, Jordan, we have started with one project, but now we are having 4 projects in different technology. Even in 3 of our projects, we are increasing our share from 24% to be at 50%. Also another example is Brazil. Currently we are constructing a 120 megawatt solar project, while at the same time we are expecting within this month to achieve financial close for another 3 projects, which will increase our capacity in Brazil to 400 megawatt. So this will show our ability to invest in the country and grow in the same area. And we hope that Indonesia will be one of the examples where we can grow after our project. Now, moving from general introduction from brass to our investment in Indonesia, we consider out of 2 our project, Dapatkan Energy is a successful and very successful project where we are one of the partners, one of the flagship in East Java, accounting for the major capacity in that region with 2,045 megawatt production. We are successfully operating with the highest standard with our partner, and we are providing stable electricity for that region. In 2017, after the acquisition of Python, we had with our partner jointly gone through major refinancing by structuring and executing for refinancing for the project. We realized a $2.75 billion in the bond market for Dapatkan project. We consider this is a breaking deal because it was the first project bond issued for Asia for more than a decade and one of the largest project bond in the world. Even we got Moody's and Fitch was creating as an investment grade for the Dapatkan bond. The order for the bond reached $9 billion, which brought of confidence of the both Dapatkan project and the project bond concept. Now I want to discuss and introduce the second project in Indonesia, which is I wish it will be a success. I consider it a near success. I wish it will be a success in the near future. This project actually started under the sponsorship of His Highness the Emir of the State of Qatar and His Excellency the President of the Republic of Indonesia in 2015, where we have signed an agreement in Doha between PGB and Ibras in order to develop a power project in Indonesia. Subsequently, in 2017, we signed line of His Highness the Emir of the State of Qatar visit to Indonesia in 2017. We have signed three tri-party agreement between PLN, PGB and Ibras to develop Sumbagat project. Sumbagat project is a project with 800 megawatt with a concept of one-stop solution, which includes developing the power plant, development of the FSRU, and facilitating the LNG supply. As per the NU agreement, we have a mandate to facilitate the LNG supply from Qatar gas from Qatar, which we are doing, and also to arrange a financing for the project. This project progressed a lot since its inception. We, with our PGB and our local partner, the ICONA, we appointed board advisor in order to prepare the agenda for the ABC and support us to determine the cost competitive tax period. And subsequently, in April 2018, we have submitted bargaining offer period. At the same time, we have, as per the agreement, we had a mandate to arrange financing for a project more than unfortunately, after that, we did not have progress in the problem here, what we were facing, the cycle of the project, where suddenly it's moved very fast. We deployed all our staff, all advisors, to discuss the project and submit the binding. Later on, the progress slowed down almost for quite some months. We have noticed and we hope that after the election, the situation will change and we will make a further progress. And as a part of the one-stop solution, also we have to provide, we have submitted to PBN commercial proposal for the FSRU, which is and we have initial discussion with the PLM and construction with the deal and the government. But again, we are awaiting the feedback in the Congress and to discuss the detail of the structure. Also, respecting the LNG supply, we have been facilitating all the discussion between PLN and Qatar gas, and the Qatar gas have already submitted indicative term sheet with the pricing detail, and we had a discussion in the commercial again for some time, but again, slow down. We hope that again we start progressing the discussion between PLN and the advance term sheet supply to the gas and the LNG supply. I have presented two cases in Indonesia. One is Dapatkan, which is very successful, and we are very much happy with our meeting. And the second one, which is Semarang, and I wish that we have the same successful, because our intention is to go on the Indonesian market, and we see the Indonesian market as a key market in Southeast Asia. After this, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for
Thank you, Paul, for your advice. It's really good that we listen already. Two pieces from Hebras, and also we are lucky that here there is something from PGB, from PLN, that will respond directly for information from Hebras and also in Matra and Utara.
Thank you, Pak. As you know that current of the there is the current situation that what is the energy or what is difference between the government. Government said that right now the need of the supply will be supplied by the not LNG anymore. So there is maybe another circumstances that we have to consider. But given that our operation, I hope will last longer, yeah. So we can maybe develop another project maybe in Semarang, another area.
So it's clear that PGB will offer another project to Hebras because not just in LNG. So for LNG is offered already. So please to submit another project to the new project. Is there any comment from Hebras?
I think this is a surprise for us, but we need to have a discussion in detail because we have done a lot of extensive work and still, as per our knowledge, we need power and maybe it's not the right time to discuss the solution, but we are happy to meet and discuss.
Here we not only discuss problem class, we discuss about other project also, other companies. So the class will have special session in PGB after this meeting. Maybe the lunch, then talk directly to starting from PGB. Now is the other story about the companies in Indonesia from the British country, namely from Dulu market is the one of the biggest market in the Middle East, and we are lucky that Dulu already open two shopping centers in Indonesia, and the something from Dulu, Pak Beju, in Indonesia is Pak Bejo, but in India is Pak Beju. Please Pak Bejo, the time is yours.
Then we first start our supermarket in UAE. Then we expand to the all GCC countries. Now we opened in Indonesia is 2016. We only opened 2 supermarket in Indonesia. 2016, the group entered the vibrant retail sector in the country with the first hypermarket and department store project, which opened in the store to the public in May 2016 at Jaipur, East Jakarta, with a total retail area of 20,000 square meters. The second store of the group was opened in BSD City, West Jakarta, in September 2017. And our third store is opened in February and next year. Chile, and other one is part of Japan. Because we are planning the next year we will open 4 stores in Indonesia. And we want to expand to the in Java, and Makassar, Surabaya, and Jogja, Medan. This is our plan. Within 5 years, we want to open 25 stores in Indonesia. We are planning to invest in $500 million in Indonesia. And then I want to expand just for the presentation for the video of the
cosmetics, and more.
thank you Pak Laki in Indonesian language for your explanation. We hope that you will be lucky always in Indonesia. And now I think from PBNU want to see other things about this debate from you.
Thank you, Pak. Your Excellency, Pak Disiarkan, Special Envoy of the President to the Middle East and OIC, Your Excellency, Pak Junan, Ministry Energy and Mineral Resources, or the representative, Your Excellency, Pak Thomas Limbo, Head of Investment Coordinator Board of the representative, Ambassadors of the Middle East countries, of the representatives, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. May we all be bestowed with peace and prosperity. A very good title is Success and Near Success. So I hope everybody is success today. First of all, on behalf of the President Director of the DGB, I would like to convey our gratitude for giving us to share our experience in this event. And it is my honor to deliver a remark from President Director of the DGB on this event. My name is Gunawan. I am from DGB Investasi, a subsidiary of PT Pembangkitan Jawa. Middle East countries are very important partners for Indonesia in the field of development of electricity infrastructure in Indonesia. Interest, know-how, experiences, and interest in development of electricity infrastructure like thermal power plant, such as coal, combined cycle, and also development renewable energy have made Middle East countries important partner in Indonesia. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, PT Pembangkitan Jawa Bali is a subsidiary of PT PLN Persero, a state-owned electricity company which focus on operation and maintenance of power plant. We have more than 7,000 megawatt owned by DGB, and we also handle operation and maintenance services of more than 6,000 megawatt, spreading across 19 locations through our subsidiary DGB services. DGB has also a portfolio in engineering, procurement and construction services through PT Regadaya Elektrika, our subsidiary. Through assignment from PT PLN Persero, DGB is currently developing more than 11,000 of power plant, consists of coal, combined cycle, thermal power plant, and renewable projects such as hydro and photovoltaic. Development of all IPP projects mostly is through our subsidiary DGB Investasi, my company. Based on current electricity supply business plan, we call it RAUPTL, Rencana Umum Penyediaan Tenaga Listrik. In next 10 years, PT PLN Persero stated growth of electricity is around 6.4% and will add more than 56,000 megawatt power plant, 57,000 kilometers of transmission line, and our government also has ambitious target 23% energy mix in renewable energy by year 2025. So this is an ambitious target of our government. We know that this target is hard to achieve without support from partners that have capabilities, experiences, and competitive project finance. So we do believe that companies from Middle East have this capability that will support PT PLN Persero to reach the target to fulfill 100% of electricity ratio. The good news is currently PJB is developing renewable energy project, floating photovoltaic 145 megawatt in Cirata Reservoir with Abu Dhabi Future Energy, we call it Masdar, as our preferred partner. We know that Masdar has a good worldwide reputation as a renewable energy player, which has experience in various renewable energy projects around the world. You can see the slide here, Cirata floating solar PV. So this project has many benefits. First, it will increase the foreign direct investment from Middle East and will give comfort for more investors and developers to invest in Indonesia. Second, it will also contribute to expand the implementation of PV floating in Indonesia and directly contribute to local content development of PV product. And the third, the floating PV project can be the first PV project in Indonesia completely financed by commercial lenders, which will be a breakthrough to give commercial lenders comfort on Indonesia and PLN. Inshallah, PJB and Masdar will have good collaboration to make this project happen. And for sure, this is an opportunity. It's very challenge for Masdar to prove that the tariff for floating PV is competitive and satisfy Indonesian stakeholders. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia continue to achieve 100% electricity ratio, which means we still develop more IPP project in next 10 years. And I may say that challenge and opportunity still wide open for partners from Middle East country, which has commitment and capability in power sector. We also need support from the government to provide clear guidance and regulation to accelerate development of electricity infrastructure in Indonesia. I hope that we will come up with meaningful results of the symposium for our beneficiaries. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Gunawan, for your clear and concise explanations. Now is the time for the course for the participants to convey, to share their information, experience with regard to the investment from the Indonesia and other countries in Indonesia. And I give the floor first to representative for panel, Disiarkan, to your information. Please start from the panel.
Yang saya hormati Bapak Dr. Disiarkan, Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I want to introduce myself. My name is WIRDA. I am the President Director of PT PBNU di NU. Actually, our shareholders is two companies, two big banks, one in Indonesia and one in Dubai. PBNU Dubai Syariah is a subsidiary of PBNU Bank and Dubai Islamic Bank. Similar to what the mission of the Dubai Islamic Bank and also PBNU Bank, we are here as a Syariah Bank to promote the inclusive Syariah Bank in Indonesia. We want to deliver all value add to all customers actually. And we also promote green businesses in Indonesia I think mainly in green energy such as hydro and also solar. Last year, during we prepare our business plan to the JK, we already include we call it Middle East Best. This one is actually to provide financial services to the inbound investor to Indonesia where they're coming from the Middle East, especially Dubai. We know that maybe companies from the Middle East who would like to come to Indonesia, the Indonesian bank doesn't know about the companies. But we, as one of the subsidiary of Dubai Islamic Bank, we have the benefits that maybe our parent knows about the company and they can provide some support to the company to invest in Indonesia, to provide financing to the company who invest in Indonesia. Lulu is also one of the I think good case. Thank you Pak Biju for meeting our customer. Since the beginning when Lulu coming to Indonesia, we was informed by the DIB that one of the client of them would like to invest here. That's why through the strong support from Dubai Islamic Bank, we were able to provide financing to Lulu at the time. And now Lulu is growing very fast here, and then we very appreciate the cooperation with Lulu as well. And again, I want to reiterate the strong support from Dubai Islamic Bank to Indonesia, and we are looking forward to provide financing services to all Middle East companies who would like to come to Indonesia, and hopefully we can grow together here in Indonesia. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak, for your presentation. We mentioned about the services for the companies to check whether the companies from the East is productive or not. So please, the companies, you can operate this bank. It's already in Indonesia, in Jakarta. Now I would like to invite the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce for the Business, Fahri, to say something about this for the investment. Please Pak Budi, please problem bos Pak Dapatkan. Problem apa tu? Don't turn to be involved in this problem.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies, Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, all of the audiences, my chief of commerce ladies. Thank you very much for the time that you've given to us. And then I wish just to explain a bit the share for the symposium of increasing investment from the Middle East and OIC countries. We know and very aware that Middle East talks of energy, abundant energy, and sorts of funds that can be internationally derived from resources based on the Middle East companies that have very strong positions, balances, etc. While in Indonesia, we have a very good markets with 268 million people, and we realized that it's about the time to increase the cooperation trips and not only just satisfied with energy only. And besides that also we know that it is not only government objective to prevent and to keep it growth of 5.2 by 5.3% of the economic growth of Indonesia. It's not only state-owned company, but also in the private sector. So we do believe that with the cooperation between two countries, two regions, that will giving a lot of strength to the success of the cooperations. I just back from some of the Middle East countries such as Iran, Iraq, and also Kuwait in cooperation with SANTRI, President Special Envoy and Minister of Foreign Affairs. We know that some complaints against Bangladesh that we have to share in these sessions actually is the communications. Sometimes we have lack of communication, lack of knowing each other between countries such as Kuwait, for instance. I don't have no doubt about the UAE Emirates and Saudi Arabia. But maybe for Kuwait, Iran and Iraq, we need to know more about what is the Indonesian situations, outlook of economics and also opportunity for investment. For your information that amount of $55 billion investment has been achieved during our president's term, that not even reaching 20% of the investment sources come from Indonesia. It is something that we have to be aware. It is not only energy, but we are also expecting a lot of investment in infrastructure, for instance. It is not going to be only IRR below 20%. It is very difficult for us to achieve, but IRR of 30% is quite enough for the investment to come in with the proposals to enter the Indonesian pre-qualifications, not only in energy but also in infrastructures. Besides that also, we have the demography bonus that almost 60% of our young populations is still now under 40 years old. So it is about the time for us also to increase the unicorn business opportunity. And it is supposed to be supported by great financial sources from the Middle East. For the time being, that what we are going to have from the Middle East countries and also part of the private sector, also of course the government sectors, is the knowing each other is needed a lot of improvement. Your representative here must be able also to catch up and to have the chemistry sources with us. But it is not only investment from Middle East to Indonesia, but also investment from Indonesia to Middle East. We have here and we are sharing the opportunities that some of the nations, especially the nation for Iraq last time, that we are also about ready to invest, especially in infrastructures. So I think it is two things that we are going to deliver, but I think that we do hope that this symposium will be continued with communication, good communication between the two regions. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Rudi Rajab. So we need more communication. Is what Pak Rudi Rajab stress. And this forum is the best forum to make communication between the Indonesian companies and the Middle East companies. Now I would like to invite somebody else who wants to say something from the right side or the left side. Is there? So if not, I will look in from the left side.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, gentlemen. Very guests. Allow me to introduce my name from Disiarkan. It is a state-owned company specialized on EPC, engineering, procurement, construction for oil and gas, as well as for industrial plant. The other side is all the construction. And starting 2008 up to now, we have operated in 11 countries, including Middle East. We are the project manager for Dubai Metro at the time. We are subcontractor to do the project management under Singaporean company. And then we built the 400 kilometers, part of 400 kilometers tall in Algiers. And then now we are operating in 11 countries. Thank you, Pak Akhiratas, that from your facility that now we are doing quite well in our forces. So I would like to introduce my company that whenever you want to do the oil and gas business in Indonesia, Indonesia has already an EPC company. And we are operating with the international company in Indonesia so far. Anggo and then another one. And we do quite a super job on this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak. From Disiarkan, here there's also another companies in the construction, from PP, from holding company, and also from Disiarkan. Is there other companies or representatives from the university or from the university or from the journalists?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is I'm from Nusantara University, so I'm the director of Industry. So, listening to your presentations, I'm just wondering, with all of the representatives from the Middle East and the OIC countries, would you please advise what kind of sort of involvement that you would expect from the academia in Indonesia? So, are you actually willing to collaborate with us, the University in Indonesia, or how could we actually, involved in this conversation? Thank you.
Thank you from University. It's an interesting question for the companies. What exactly you need from the academician, from the university? Is there a good provide to respond to this?
Excellent question. So it's not what we need, but actually it's one of the things the government dictates, which we find actually is the best practice. The fact that, for example, if we want to do an environmental baseline assessment, it is mandatory that we team up with a university here. And that's one way of actually not only you guys getting exposure to the oil and gas business, but also expanding, I guess, the education and knowledge of the campus. Another thing, I know if anyone wants to bid in joint bid studies, you also have to go with the university. So you're working on their subsurface, their G&G. So actually, I actually want to thank the government, because I think this is actually a best practice not used in many parts of the world, where they force oil and gas companies to team up with universities. The only way you can build capability is by doing that. Because some people come in, forget about the universities, but just to let you know, your government is actually doing a good job in making all the oil and gas companies that come in here, certain things are requirements, whether it's joint bid studies or environmental baseline assessments. I'm just going to touch on that. Thank you.
Very good response. So we can operate with the government and also with the company to matching between the city and the government and the company. Is there any response or any question or please from Pak Fini, yes, blogger but also businessman.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I convey my gratitude and honor to be here at a very important symposium. And there is no question for me, but just an introduction. My name is Disiarkan from El Sasari Law Office. That I believe we have good relation with some ambassador and embassy of Middle East like Uni Emirat Arab, Saudi Arabia, and some other countries. But I'm here also as a director of Bali Energy Indonesia. is geothermal concession in Bali. So maybe later, in the lunchtime, I will contact the investors and to invite their investment in our companies. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
It's good publicly to use this forum to promote the company advisor. Okay, any other people want to share something? This forum is good time for all of you. Please present and also please criticism to the government, to the companies, and also to the university. What is the best way and means to increase investment from the East and West countries? Please from the right side. From the left side. Please, Pak Fajar. Please from the Foreign Ministry for Economic Affairs.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ilya. I'm assistant from Dr. Disiarkan. I heard that CUPEC, especially, currently is developing a lot of projects in overseas. And I just remind that there's a lot of they need a lot of human resources that maybe we can connect with the Indonesian university. I think if we can, maybe I want to ask I want to ask the CUPEC to share some opportunities for human resources in your company to Indonesian universities here, so we can provide the human resources cordially. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Farid, for your inputs. CUPEC, I think will go on. Yeah. Please, Pak Fajar from.
Thank you.
So I have to first of all say a quick disclaimer. I'm not the official spokesperson of CUPEC or KPI. That's Chef Nawaf Sabat. That's for that. Second, I do not speak on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce or Kuwait. So I need to say that out loud. So your question was a general question, how you can add manpower. And the only thing I can actually tell you on that, because I'm only here representing CUPEC, is to contact our embassy, as well as I know there was a delegation that visited Kuwait last week. So I would say stay in contact with them, because I know they talk to high-ranking officials. But no one from CUPEC will ever tell you how you can leverage manpower in Kuwait or here. We can tell you what we can do here, because that's our scope. But I cannot talk on behalf of.
Thank you, Pak, for your explanation. Pak Fajar, please.
Thank you, Pak Dede. First of all, allow me to thank the organizers, Alwi, Shihab, for organizing this forum today. I believe that this forum is very important and sure it's very timely. I think we all know and we learned and we heard the recent World Bank report that has been also presented to the President in terms of still shortcomings with the way that our foreign direct investment is entering our market. So again, just a general comment that this important forum should be followed up by all the companies involved here and the countries represented. We heard success stories, also best practices, and I believe that we should follow all this concern. Your government representative here, I believe we will be ready to follow up all the concerns that you all have. And I cannot agree more that that interacting and business interaction to know each other is very important in this business. And in this regard, I push for more exchange of missions, visits, to get to know each other, and while at the same time be here in Indonesia. All the relevant ministries will make sure that all of your concerns will be followed up. I believe that there are many possible and tangible future cooperation and collaboration. But I think what is more important for us is to get to know each other, and while at the same time we here at the government will make sure that all your business concerns are followed up and will be addressed. So maybe this is just a general comment from our side. Again, from our coordinating ministry here in Indonesia for economic affairs, we will be ready to take note and, of course, report to our minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Father, and also for your promise to bring you Pak Minister of Economic Affairs. And also, we have noted some comment, input, and suggestion from the speakers as well as from the participants. Ambassador Oman, you want to say something?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam ajma'in. Your Excellency Dr. Ali Bishar, Excellency representative of embassies, prominent audience, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I would like to thank Dr. Ali Bishar for his invitation and for his persistent and continuous support for us as ambassadors and embassies in conducting our job here in our missions in Jakarta. Everybody is actually so eager to come to Indonesia and be part of Indonesia. Today I learned a lot about good, successful stories from our countries and companies from our area. The rest of the humanities are present here and been present here for centuries and a long time in Lagos. We reached China 1,000 years ago. We are trying to negotiate in certain sectors. In real estate, there are some small investors. Some investors having small plants in East Java, and they are pumping those small amount of money. But there are certain things that actually an added bonus to the relationship between the Middle East and Indonesia and the region. I'm happy that one of the things that never been touched today is the tourism sector, which is one of the fastest growing industry in the world. And pleased to announce that more than 16,000 Omanis have visited Indonesia in the past year. So this is one of the things also to be touched. Our oil and gas companies, they are fully aware about the market and the potential here in Indonesia. In fact, they've been here. The Minister of Oil and Gas is is a fan of Indonesia since he's a golfer. And so we have, next month, we have about 45 CEOs and representatives of oil and gas companies coming to Indonesia, but it's not officially for leisure. But again, they do discuss business matters and related matters and opportunities. Very proud that Medco Energy is present in Oman and making successful business in Oman, and they are expanding. Last year they got a new concession, and they are doing well, and they have the full support of our government. So I hope that very soon, inshallah ta'ala, we will have good cooperation between Oman and Indonesia in the port facilities and logistics. Tomorrow there will be a conference on engineering hosted by the Indonesia Engineering Association, and I'll be addressing that conference about the potential and the interest of ASEAN, the Omani holding company for ports and logistics and transportation, which I hope that very soon we will hear and announce a good cooperation between Oman and Indonesia on certain ports inshallah ta'ala. So, Pak Ali Shahab, Dr. Ali Shahab, for your invitation, and thank you all for your presentations. I've learned a lot today, and my concentration during the past few years was more into cultural and diplomatic matters more than economic. I have to admit that maybe I should have been involved more in that. But there's an Arabic saying called Ras al-Mal Jaman. If Dr. Ali Shahab, he will understand that Ras al-Mal Jaman means the investor is very, very hesitant to enter into a market where he sees that uncertainties. One of the things that I encourage the government of Indonesia is to open up a bit into the legal frames and matters, and have an open mind for the flow of investment. It's not a matter of pumping money to Indonesia. It's also to exchange and a lot of legal frameworks needed to be accelerated in order to give the confidence for investors to come and invest and reinvest, and again maybe a joint venture to invest in a third party. Thank you very much. Sorry for my long remarks. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Ambassador of Oman. We are really glad that we will focus on economic issues in the next years after completion. So it's good for the companies. Yeah, maybe we have next Ambassador will cooperate with the companies, with the Chamber of Commerce, to comment about the boards, about the logistics, about the transportation in addition to the oil and gas. Now we like to invite other participants. Please, Pak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Daniel Jawa. I was one of the Indonesian diaspora in the Middle East. I just came back to our motherland 2 weeks ago. I lived in the Middle East for 7 years. AZMI. I worked for Uzbek, but what I'm about to deliver is my personal opinion, being an Indonesian stationed in Kuwait City and looking at how investors looking at Indonesia. Again, this is my personal opinion. I left Indonesia in 2012. If I may speak openly, the investment or the investment climate is much better. However, if LBC Hub is asking the question, if we were to allow to speak openly, I can only say 2 things that we as Indonesian can improve from my perspective. First is the agreed rules of the game. What I meant by this, an investor is looking for some sort of a certainty, be it the fiscal terms, be it the regulatory firms, and stability. As recent as last week, I checked about how many licenses required by oil and gas investor to secure to do business here. To my surprise, the number is still reaching hundreds. This is a lot, and I'm sure any investor, it will raise their back if they heard that, well, if I want to invest in Indonesia, this is the licenses that I need to get. Just only talking about licenses and permits. This is something that needs to be streamlined. Second, still within subcategory of the rules of the game, taxation. Again, this is another, if I may call it, a challenging environment in Indonesia, something that all of us can check in our tax court, how many tax disputes between the Indonesian tax office and investor. This kind of thing does not need any further introduction. The investor will know by themselves about the situation. Something for us to ponder upon. The last thing, if I may suggest, this kind of forum is, I think, needs to be held quite frequently. The forum needs to be transparent. We can discuss openly, so that we will know what needs to be improved, not only from Indonesian government, but also from the investor side. I think I said enough. Thank you very much again for the opportunity. Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Finally, I'm really happy to listen to what you just said. It would be even better if it comes from the foreigner, from the Indonesian businessmen. But at least you have shown a genuine sincerity to make Indonesia more attractive for investors. I promise you that the 2 points you mentioned will be part of my report to the President. I heard about that, but always the response is negating that 100 signature or 100 licenses to be obtained before you can start business. But we will report that and let us see what is going to be the response from the government. I would like to have more of this kind of remark. I noticed that our guests are reluctant to criticize, and this is, I think, very natural from Eastern tradition. But please, and I will repeat my request that during lunch, please let us know because the symposium is held aiming at getting more information that could smooth up the investment in Indonesia. From the speakers, foreign speakers, more of a praise than criticism. You don't have to be hesitant to say that, because the objective, the main aim of this symposium is to give report to the government, to the president, what the general view of the participants about the obstacles, problems, and constructive suggestion. I really appreciate Ambassador Oman, his remark, and we have been working closely together, and I appreciate your suggestion, advice, even informally, but this is meaningful for our effort to smoothen up the flow of investment from the Middle East. I would like also to thank all of the participants for their participation, and I think since we don't have any other speaker, except you want to tell something, and I am all right, yes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to thank you for organizing such a symposium. Some points I have in my mind to hear. As you know, Iran is ready to invest in different fields, not only in oil and gas, even in the constructions, pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, water treatment, steel and mining. But as a part of the Rajat, we have some lack of knowledge and lack of information. For example, if a company wants to invest in medical equipment, which data they should know, and which organization they should refer, or even one of the other point that I wanted to mention is a local partner. If there is a center or places where government can help the investors to find good partners for some investment, we need the local partner that they get please. So in this regard, I think there is a point that government can help foreign investor to find a good partner. Another thing is some countries like Iran have good capacity in skills and engineering. For example, we have some cooperation in the field of manpower to be skillful. And, in this regard, we can design some power and action to part of countries closer and work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I have been thinking about cooperation in the medical, medicine, herbal medicine between Iran and Indonesia, and particularly cosmetic. We need a halal cosmetic in Indonesia, and we only have one partner, I don't think that if Iran comes in, without putting halal, people know that this must be halal. If it comes from Iran. So cosmetic is good, the market is big, and also medical equipment. I know that the quality of medical equipment is also great. And with regard to partners, actually our office can help, but also other agencies, governmental agencies can help find right partner. We have state-owned companies, we have private companies, both in construction and other than that. So we would like to do more cooperation, not only with Iran, with all Middle Eastern countries. I think communication problem or lack of communication, lack of knowledge about the quality product of Middle Eastern countries as well as Indonesia is obstacle for smoothing up of the investment and growth in Indonesia. We are working on that. And such symposium will open our mind, our betterment, and again during the lunchtime, feel free to talk one-on-one maybe, and if you have any concern, you don't want to expose in this open forum, you are most welcome to let us know, and that would enrich our report to the President. Thank you, and let's move on to the comment.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the investment, I mean, the both sides, they are looking for the benefit of each part. So the condition of the business is to have what we call urban hustle. It's like Greenland. And the most important thing that if any country need the investor to come, they have to have, like, a guarantee. The license, flexibility, شفافية, flexibilities. So all these things make the investor is growing significantly. Alhamdulillah, in Indonesia, through my time here, it's been 3 years, I see it's growing. The business is growing between Indonesia and GCC and between also my country. And the last visit of Rizal Sheikh Ahmed bin Zayed, it was very successful for both sides. And even the President Jacobi, he was, in his speech in the Parliament, he was talking about the United Arab Emirates, how they are, like, easy and to issue the license for the business people. And also, it's very, like, years of our country also is working in Indonesia, Dubai, Port, and Wadala, and Lulu as well, and We are willing to have more, inshallah, in this third year, but we need also the government of the nation to be flexible and how to get the license. As you need a 200 or 100 signature. Okay, it's going to be too much like this one. Thank you very much, all of you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much with regard to the concern about tax issue. I think we have a representative from tax office here. I don't know. Yes, maybe you can talk to our friend from diaspora just to get the feel of what he wished to be improved and let us know what kind of concern that they have for us to include in our recommendation. Again, thank you very much. I hope that such symposium will benefit all of us, not only the government of Indonesia, but the investors. Once the remarks being emphasized and resolved, inshallah we'll have a better investment climate and easiness in doing business in Indonesia. I think it's time for before 12, but since nobody will participate anymore, so we can come down for lunch. And by that, I will conclude our symposium first by thanking you all and hoping all the best, both for the investor and for representative of government agencies, as well as for all business group, Indonesian and Middle Eastern. Thank you so much, and Fadal Al-Bada. Please have your lunch downstairs. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The lunch is in the restaurant on the second floor. It's nice and it's a good restaurant. Please enjoy the food.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kita minta seluruh masyarakat Indonesia untuk bisa nonton, nyaksiin, ya kan, siarin di PBNU, NU Indonesia, Nahdlatul Ulama.
Kata siapa?
Ya kata gue, lu kata siapa? Kata gue, NU punya TV, ya, supaya subscribe semuanya biar berkah, ya kan? Ya, mudah-mudahan semuanya berkah, bisa nyaksiin seluruh tayangan yang ada di TV NU Channel.
Kata siapa?
Kata gue.
Oh, kata iya. Kata dia nyaksiin, kalau kata saya tonton. Nah,
NU Channel.
Kata siapa?
Kata gue NU Channel. Lo kata siapa? Jangan lupa NU Channel. Subscribe ya. Semuanya biar berkah ya. Biar berkah. Biar berkah.
Kata siapa?
Kata gue biar berkah. Ya, biar berkah ya.
Berkah, insya Allah.
Ya.